Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday live streams. Just like the title and thumbnail suggest, it looks like Bitcoin miners are doing the smart thing and doing the things that they need to do to be profitable. And as they pivot to AI, I have to tell you, this is probably the smartest thing that they can possibly do. So what we're talking about today is there was a story that came about, and we've actually heard a bunch of these stories coming about Bitcoin miners giving up a portion of what they're doing as far as the Bitcoin mining and for the infrastructure and pivoting over to AI. Now, they're not pivoting to AI to be compute chips. Apparently, there is a little bit of a catch for that. The old type of miners can't duplicate what is being done for other, like, say, NVIDIA chips and things of that nature. So what they're doing is that they're pivoting to AI by using infrastructure, using electricity or energy consumption, and pivoting that over to the AI for other compute that is needed for artificial intelligence. And they're either giving up, like I said, part of their factories or for their areas so that AI can come in, like in Microsoft or OpenAI or someplace like that, and set up shop and do these things. And I got to tell you, smartest thing they can possibly do. So this is what we have. Congo completes Bitcoin sale to strengthen financial position and advance AI transformation. Now, I know when you hear me say, like, this is a good idea, you're like, what, are you a trader? You want them to just stop mining Bitcoin and just go to AI? No, that's what I'm saying. It'll make sense in a second. So this is from today. Looks like Congo, I'm sure I said it right sometime. Leading Bitcoin miner leveraging its global operations, develop integrated energy and AI compute platform, announced that based on a comprehensive assessment of current market conditions, which means that Bitcoin is tanking and it's been well below the price that it usually costs to actually produce Bitcoin. And upon approval, the company's board of directors completes the sale of, check this out, they sold 4,451 Bitcoin on the open market during the past weekend, which were settled directly in Tether for aggregate net proceeds of approximately $305 million in equivalent value. The full amount of Tether proceeds have been utilized to partially repay a Bitcoin collateralized loan, and that was part of that, and then also to transition over to AI. So if you're thinking to yourself, who's dumping on me? It was some of the top Bitcoin miners, and that's just what it is. So I had to think about this. I'm like, well, first of all, like, how much? 4,000, almost 4,500 Bitcoin. What is that for Congo? Is that something that is, pretty substantial, or is it just something like a little drop in the bucket? Well, apparently, Congo, a New York Stock Exchange listed Bitcoin mining operation, when they sold that 4,500 roughly Bitcoin for $305 million, that represented about 60% of Congo's prior 7,476 Bitcoin reserve. So they didn't sell all of it, just 60% of it. And people say, well, that shouldn't be done. Michael Saylor tells me to never sell my Bitcoin. Why are they selling their Bitcoin? It's because they want to survive. And they don't do stuff like this. It may be very difficult for them to do it, or they may not survive whatsoever. So I know this sounds kind of crazy to think about, but it's called diversification. And on this channel, we've talked about this many a time. And that's why I have these rules up. These rules I put in place since 2022 when everything collapsed. And the very last rule is take profits along the way. And I would be worried about these Bitcoin miners if they didn't diversify a little bit, especially if they have all that space for these AI companies that say, hey, we need a ton of these warehouses. We need a ton of infrastructure built because AI is going to take over. And I think it is. And for them to say, no, we're just going to mine Bitcoin, even though we're mining at a loss in some time frames, I think is not a great move for them. If they have the ability, diversify a little bit, survive, live to fight another day. That's pretty much what we do here. So to take a look at this, I thought, well, is this just some kind of in its own little place? Was this the only Bitcoin miners? No. If we take a look at Bitcoin treasuries, or bitbo.io /treasuries, I think it was a link in the description. the mining companies holding Bitcoin right now. You got Marathon Digital, which hold almost 55,000. This is as of January 21st, 2026. So it's not too far away. Riot Platforms has around 23,000. Hut 8 has around, 16K. CleanSpark. And then Kango right there is number 5. Then you got American Bitcoin Corporation, Ionic Digital, Core Scientific, Bitfarms, Bitfu, Kana, and all the rest of them, right? So my question was, all right, well, we know about Kango. What about these other ones? Are they doing anything with AI? It's pretty interesting, but before we even talk about that, we really should be asking ourselves, okay, well, it's great that these mining operations, they hold so many Bitcoin, but who is contributing to the hash rate the most? And I had to take a look at this and dig this up. In early 2026, public Bitcoin mining companies account for approximately 45% of the total network hash rate, while the remaining 55% is private entities and smaller pools. Let's just do a 50-50 split. Make it very simple. So the total network, the total Bitcoin hash rate is around 927 exahashes. And if you just want to round that up, apparently it hit this called 1,000 exahash or a zeta hash. I didn't know that was even a word. 1 zeta hash happened in January 2026, which makes it very competitive. And the big three that are responsible for the massive amount of hash rate in the Bitcoin operation is Mara, CleanSpark, and Iron. And we can find them over there. Mara, CleanSpark. Coincidentally, though, if we take a look at for Iron, that company is not even holding, it looks like anything that can be surmised from the Bitcoin treasuries. Now, this might be an error on Bitcoin treasuries. I'm sure there may be some information where they do hold a lot of Bitcoin. But as of this chart right here, Iron doesn't hold a single Bitcoin, which is kind of interesting. I doubt that to be true, but I've been wrong before. But again, you're looking at Mara, CleanSpark are the top, and Iron are the top 3, and they contribute around 17% of the entire global network. So out of those, I had to ask the question, which ones of those have already pivoted to artificial intelligence and AI, or is Congo just out there in the bush just doing some crazy things? No, they all are doing it. They all are doing it. Mara, piloting AI inference projects and exploring GPU deployments while maintaining significant data center capacity for potential AI users. There's Riot right here, launched the evaluation of AI HPC, uses for 600 megawatts of power capacity at its Corsicana facility, planning to dedicate capacity to AI-focused ventures. And Iron, formerly Iris Energy, maybe that's why. Let me take a look here. I'm curious. No, I'm still not there. Who knows? Anyhow, Iron, formerly Iris, aggressively scaling operations for a $9.7 billion AI cloud services pact with Microsoft, shifting hydro-powered sites to AI data centers. And you got Hut 8, transition Bitcoin mining to AI infrastructure. You got Hive, same thing, serving crypto, AI, and rendering workloads. Core Scientific emerged from bankruptcy as a bare metal AI infrastructure provider, partnered with CoreWeave to host AI operations and offering GPU clusters. That's interesting, CoreWeave. For AI tasks, CleanSpark acquired 271 acres, wow, near Houston with 285 megawatts of power to deploy AI data center. And on it goes. All these different Bitcoin miners are out there and they're pivoting to AI. This, I say, is a great, smart move for them to do that. They can't contribute everything to Bitcoin, especially with the whatever is going on in the markets. Some say it's manipulation. Some say it's a natural 4-year cycle. Some say it's because of the business cycle. I don't really care what it really is right now. I do care. I should stop lying. I care. But in all honesty, you have to hedge your bet just a little bit to get going and get yourself over the finish line. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. If this is a good idea or bad idea. I mean, look, it's worked out, I think, for most people to diversify just a little bit. I know Michael Saylor is probably saying, no, I would never diversify. And we'll see how that works out. But I have to tell you, for me personally, like I didn't take as much profits as I should have. I'll be honest with you. I wish I would have taken more profits along the way, but the ones that I did, it helped out with real estate, and real estate's nice, especially when you do short-term and long-term rentals. And the funds that come in from that is a nice little positive cash flow, which you can use to buy Bitcoin when it goes down and things like that. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's just finish up with a little light stories and see what we got. Good news. Operation Choke Point 2.0 was real, and the government just lost the case. FDIC agrees to pay fees. If you're not from the United States, the FDIC essentially insures bank deposits up to $250,000. It used to be $100,000, now it's $250,000 per bank. So if you deposit $250,000 in $1, they will reimburse you $250,000, and you're out of $1 for all your deposits that you have in that particular bank. That's the beauty of probably the United States. Unfortunately, the FDIC started to do Operation Choke Point 2.0, and they would tell banks to essentially not bank cryptocurrency companies. That was in the prior administration, but because of that, they're going to pay Coinbase. Here's what we have. So the FDIC agrees to pay Coinbase $188,440 in legal fees. First of all, good for the Coinbase legal team, racking up those nice fees. But I got to tell you, that's nothing. I mean, come on, less than 200,000, whatever. They'll be okay, I think. But it's not the money; it's them changing what happened. They overhauled the FOIA policies following a court ruling that found the agency violated federal disclosure law. Who would have thunk it that the government would have actually lost a case? The settlement concludes a multi-year legal battle that exposed dozens of pause letters, FDIC sending to banks, telling them not to bank anybody in crypto or halt crypto-related activities, essentially Operation Choke Point 2.0, which they said was not happening, and they lied. Under new leadership, the FDIC pledged that it would not categorically withhold all bank supervisory documents. So, hey, good for Coinbase. They had an awful commercial in the Super Bowl, so I would call that a big loss. But the win was they actually beat the FDIC. So congratulations, Brian Armstrong and the crew, for doing great things and beating the government. But man, that Super Bowl commercial sucked. And then lastly, scams. And again, going back to the rules, I put the number 1, or actually the number 2 rule. The number 2, it should be the number 1, but 100% scams. Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. Everybody knows this, right? Everything's a scam. Even if I say something, just assume I'm trying to scam you. You'll be a lot happier. Address poisoning recently cost 2 victims over $62 million alone. Scam sniffer. I personally get emails on a weekly basis, maybe bi-monthly these days because everybody's broke, it seems like. But people losing their funds left and right in crypto. And it's all because of stuff like this. There is a little address poisoning. Analysts warn that Ethereum's Fusaka upgrade has made address poisoning cheaper, as malicious actors can carry out dust attacks for very little cost. I mean, I guess so. I mean, essentially, the Fusaka upgrade made the Ethereum transaction cost actually reasonable instead of like 20 or 30 bucks, like what it was in the height of 2021. So, I mean, yes, this is true, but this is what's going on. One victim lost 12 million bucks in January by copying the wrong address from their transaction history in an address poisoning attack, adding a similar $50 million attack in December. Address poisoning is when attackers send small transactions or dust from addresses that look similar to those in the target's transaction history, hoping the victim will copy the wrong address. And we're so lazy, we do it. So like if someone says, hey, send me, I don't know who the hell is sending 12 million out of crack, but somebody out there is doing that. And they're like, hey, Johnny, send me 12.2 million. Okay, I got you. You still got my address? Yeah, I got your address. They go and they look in the history, and then someone send them a dust like 0.0000001 Bitcoin. And it looks very similar to their friend's address. They go, oh, that's it. They click on that. They send them $12 million. They don't do a test transaction because they're morons. And they just go, yeah, here you go. Here's 12 million. This makes no sense to me. No sense. But apparently people are that stupid. And they did that, and they lost 12 million. One guy lost 50 million. And there's also, out of that signature phishing, also surged recently with 6 million stolen from 4,000 victims in January, 207% increase compared to December. So these things are going on. There's a link in the description. It's under my crypto critical videos where I talk about some of the most important scams to be aware of. AI is pretty much making the case as well. So watch those videos, make sure you're safe. And if you're like, I don't want to deal with this stuff because you're smart, just do what I do. Get out of, first of all, the exchanges. They're going to collapse at some point anyhow. Not collapsing advice, but they're going to collapse at some point. And when they do, they're going to take all your crypto and you'll be like, what the hell happened? And that happened to me. That happened to a lot of people. Go ask anybody from FTX or Voyager or Celsius or BlockFi. And they'll give you back some of your crypto at pennies on the dollars because they are awful people. And you can stop that. So there's a couple ways I do it. First of all, use a ledger, use a TANGEM. I have multiple ones of those. And then if you just don't want to like opt out of that, also do a third option, which is what I do, which is iTRUST Capital. I have a Roth IRA, and I use them also for custodial services. And they have custodial services, which are the same ones that BlackRock and MicroStrategy use. So I'm like, yeah, I'll diversify. I diversify my investments. I diversify my security because I'm not going to come out the other end going, hey, I'm a multi-millionaire. Bad news, though. I got a phishing attack and I sent it to somebody named Pete, and now they have all my money because I'm a moron. That's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everybody's time sensitive. Now let's get into a little Q&A. I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities, and we'll get out of here. What do you guys have for a question for me? I'm wondering if Bitcoin and Jeffrey Epstein are closer related than we know. Both seem to be interested in miners. You got me on that one. Hey, there's a, let's take a look over at YouTube. And guy over at Coin Bureau, this one, what the heck are they doing? They, not this one, this video right here, almost 200,000 views so far. I got to watch this one. The Epstein files just exposed Bitcoin's darkest secret. Apparently there is some type of collusion between Epstein and early Bitcoin developers. This ought to be a good one. So when you're done here, why don't you go over to Coin Bureau's channel, check out that video like I'm going to do. That'll be interesting. That was a funny joke. Good one, Plato. Well played, touche. Let's see. That's right. ASIC is only good for a particular algo. That's true. They just can't switch over to AI. Now, I had heard somebody else talk about the more advanced chips can do both, but every miner that I've talked to, they have never told me that. So from what I understand, if you buy a Bitcoin miner, Bitcoin mining motherboard and chips, that's for Bitcoin mining. If you buy these high-end NVIDIA chips for AI, that's for AI. What they're doing for AI is the infrastructure play. They are getting these massive warehouses and using them for electricity and then storage for those chips and motherboards to make compute and all that great, cool stuff that makes AI fantastic. All right. Love everybody. Where is everybody? They're all crying over their losses, which is pretty true, except for us. I do like this time. This is the fun time. I don't have to deal with a bunch of damn tourists. And everybody here is just, they know the drill. Like, look, yeah, bear markets suck, but man, this is where we make all the money, and we stick around. I think we've learned some things along the way. We've learned that not every altcoin will surge. We've learned that just because an altcoin did great a cycle or two ago doesn't mean it's going to automatically pump up because people are going to make these investments. And we've learned that Bitcoin is for freedom, and we should probably be taking profits along the way. If we do those things, we should be fine. When Mullets is here, barely, yeah, Bitcoin core. Nah. Am I late? You're right on time, golfer. I'll tell you exactly what happened. So a bunch of Bitcoin miners, they're pivoting to AI because they're not making as much money as they thought they would, or maybe they had this all modeled out. They're not making as much money mining Bitcoin because Bitcoin right now is $70,000. So what they did a very smart thing. They pivoted AI, AI companies pay them. Then all they got to do is just weather the storm. All they got to do is just sit around, mine a little Bitcoin, the other space for AI, let all the other Bitcoin miners that weren't smart enough to figure that out, that they were supposed to diversify, and let them all just close. And then when all those Bitcoin miners close, then the difficulty level adjusts. And now it's way simpler, way cheaper, way more profitable to mine Bitcoin. And they come out ahead, plus the revenue and the money stream that they have from AI. It's a great idea. And I commend them for it. I know some people will demonize them for that, but that's not right. All right. Holger says, and this actually worries me. The cycle repeats so predictably. It's like having a cheat code long before 95% of the players are even in the game. It worries me because, like, before, well, let's say September, October, everybody was pretty certain that it's going to be a super banana zone cycle, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to keep going up and to the right. I mean, they were going to have some pullbacks, and it's going to be awful, but everybody was pretty convinced. Even I was looking at it like, maybe a super cycle is around the corner, but I'm like, no, it's dumb, because they've been saying that forever, and it never happens. And it didn't, and a lot of people got wrecked. They didn't take any profits. They were just like, I'm gonna diamond hands, bro. And if this goes down, I always got McDonald's to work at. And here we are, So now we go into, okay, well, it wasn't a business cycle, quantitative tightening to quantitative easing to massive money printer and Fed rate cuts. It just looks like, everything's in the toilet. So we have to go and diverge into the 4-year cycles, right? It always works out like that. Now that people come around to that, now I'm even more, that's what I always thought was going to happen. But now I'm starting to worry. I'm like, damn it, now everybody thinks that's what's going to happen. Well, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. Maybe I should stop worrying so much. Just let it happen. That's a good point. Let's see. DC and the bear market, true? True. Corey says, hi, Dan, I am new here. A tourist, if you will. Corey, if you're here now, you're probably one of the smartest tourists I've seen. Now, remember, it will probably keep going down at some point. Like, this kind of reminds me of a dead cat bounce, right? I mean, we went down to like 59,000 on some exchanges. And then we had a nice little bounce. And I don't even know, what is the price today? You'd think I would know that. I don't really check too much. Let's see. All right, it's about 69,000. So a nice bounce, but I just don't think that the bulls are in control and we're going to keep going up. I just see us going down, which is good for me because I dynamically dollar cost average and I just bought today. So it was a pretty nice one. And people were probably like, oh, you could have bought at 59 or 60K. It's not my plan. My plan is to buy every single Monday. It's statistically speaking the best time, the best day of the week. And I increase my buying as the price goes lower. So, Corey, if you're here, probably one of the luckiest tourists I've seen. Congratulations. Let's see. No ASIC chips can do AI. Yeah, they're switching the data centers. That's true. The only thing that could be used for both AI and mining are the Hopper GPUs, but not for mining Bitcoin. I know what that is. Hopper GPUs. Let's take a look at that. Thank you. Home mining is dead. I can see that. Does Pepe and Bonk have a future? I mean, if you look at the Pepe dominance chart, I'm just kidding. No, probably not. I think those were great liquidity plays. But who knows? Maybe tomorrow, who knows? I don't know, like Albania makes Bonk their reserve currency. I'm just kidding, it's not gonna happen. What do you think of investing in silver now since the recent silver paper attack from the American banks on trying to failed. China's sitting on most physical silver, and the American banks missed the boat. I am looking at, I only have gold in my IRA. And boy, I regret that. Well, I don't really regret it. I just fine. I can't, there's only so much money that I can throw around and invest into, right? You got to pay for groceries. You got to pay for bills. You got to pay for bribes from government officials. You know what I mean? And, you know, these things, you can only do so much. Now, I will probably start to allocate to my Roth IRA for gold and silver. And what's great about, I got it. At iTRUST, you can get physical gold sent to you. I don't think you can do silver. I got to get these guys on the show again. But you can get physical gold sent to you, or they hold it in the Canadian Mint, and they actually audit, and you can actually see it. So I'll be probably allocating gold and silver. And then what's great about that, let me see here. Is that if you're doing a Roth IRA, like I said before, you have until April 15th to contribute to 2025, because you can only contribute between $7,000 and $8,000 a year. And then also, I need to start talking about this more. I've said this before, but I don't say it near enough. Are you guys concerned about capital gains tax? I'm just curious. Like, do you think about, man, I really don't want to pay the government 21% or wherever you're at? I don't know. But in America, long-term and short-term capital gains, it's between 20%, maybe 50, well, 20% is long-term. Short-term capital gains is in your own tax bracket. But you can, that's why people don't like to trade too much. But in your Roth IRA, you can trade within your Roth IRA and there is no tax ramifications. So if you bought Bitcoin at say like 1,000 and went to 100,000, let me make this better. You bought Bitcoin at 1,000, it goes to 101,000. So your profit is 100K, right? So you just owe the government $20,000 on your hard-earned investment. Makes no sense, right? But if you're then in a Roth IRA and you trade it, and let's say it goes to 101,000, you sell, and you put it into stables or cash, doesn't matter. And then the price of Bitcoin goes down to whatever, 69,000 today. You could redeploy that capital, don't pay any taxes. I think that's the big thing. And I really screw up on because I don't even think about it. I really need to start thinking about selling within my Roth IRA because there's no cap gains. I should probably do this more often. Let's see. I don't know what's going on in the chat. Somebody's delusional. My first bull after 21-21 never happened. Kind of happened. Is Bobby investing in platinum? Man, there's no 50x leverage on platinum, Jim, or Frosty, I'm sorry. My friend Bobby, he's whatever's the new thing to gamble on Kalshi. That's what he's doing. Kalshi or Poly Market. How dead is Dot? Dot's been dead for a long time. Someone say Bitcoin AI. Ben's shares here. Rookies come and go. And Millennial Crypto says, why would you tell someone to park all their money for interest when it's not insured by the FDIC? That's a good question. Let's say you have it, and I think this is the big thing with the stablecoin discussion that's happening between Coinbase, the banks, and the current presidential administration. And they want to give people yield on their stablecoins. This is the Clarity Act. And the banks are pushing back and they're saying, no, you can't really do that. But then it's a good point. Like, let's say you have over 250,000, let's say you have 500,000, right? And you have that in the bank and it's in stablecoins because now stablecoins can do everything, or banks can do everything they want with stablecoins because of Clarity Act. Great. But it's there and it's only FDIC insured. And that's just it. FDIC is for cash. I don't know if it's cash derivatives. So let's say that the bank shuts down. or the bank gets hacked or something like that, because now everything's, it should be an interesting time frame. So, you know, how much would you actually get back if the bank gets hacked or if something happens? One thing under 250,000, that's it. Then why would you leave everything in a bank? Just for some yield? Is 4% worth it if you got like $10 million? I don't think so. And I Benny says it right. Good night from Germany. Good night from Puerto Rico. I got to get out of here. Been a long day. Doing a lot of things on this open claw thing. And I'm telling you guys, AI really is the future. It's amazing what's happened in the last 2 years. Think about your favorite altcoin. How much has your favorite altcoin improved in 2 years? How much has AI improved in 2 years? Crazy, right? That's it for today. All right, everybody, like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Adios.